Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Moving the Chains here on Team NBS Media. My name is Ashmere, and we are here to talk about all things football for week 9. It's kind of crazy that we're halfway through this season and we are nearing the trade deadline. I think that is going to be a very spicy one. Happy to welcome in Jeff and Joe. Of course, the three of us are here every Sunday to talk football. How are you guys?
Great.
Rolling along.
You ready to rock or what?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Always.
Allegedly.
I thought you guys would be in Halloween costumes. We should have coordinated that. I know it's
No.
after Halloween, but
That would be fun.
If you want to put the hood on and go as a hacker, we can do that.
well, you're very good at Halloween costumes, Jeff. So
Yeah, that'd have been a competition. Put
yeah.
that in the notes for next year for sure.
Okay. Next year's Moving the Chains, we will be in costumes. But before we go to the future, let's go to the past. Jeff, please take us through our rapid fire standings and let us know how everybody did.
Well. We've been giving Joe a lot of grief for his performance most of the season, but nobody was more on fire. Let's just say Joe went super last week, going 13-3.
Whoa!
I mean, he went Super Saiyan blue on us. I mean, he just went flex on us on this one. 13-3. Everybody else went 10-6. So Ashmere maintains her first place standing by one game over moi. She has a 3-game lead on Greg and a 7-game lead on Joe. But Joe is back above 500 after the Herculean performance. I mean, he went full Super Saiyan blue on us. So kudos, Joe. 13-3. Great week.
I appreciate that. Just start approving all graphics before they're displayed. Start emailing those on Thursday. We could discuss.
I love that one.
It's a good week. Feels like a little anime.
I mean, you literally overshot everyone to get into the competition.
Thank you very much. I told you. I seen the
They're praying for your downfall already, Joe. Look at that. Yeah.
Wait,
That's
how
fine.
many lone wolf ones did he get right? I can't remember.
Oh, please.
He had a bunch.
I'd have to go back and look.
That's okay.
I have to go back and
I
look.
know we got one wrong as a group. Like one of our unanimous ones definitely didn't hit.
Yeah, well, yeah. you can just start with Thursday night, okay? Right?
Yeah.
Thursday night was a unanimous pick. Boy, oh boy, did Houston disappoint.
Oh, this Thursday, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad.
I think it was all bad for CJ Stroud. Poor guy had 18 dropbacks, 8 sacks or something. Like he was getting swallowed up alive. So I guess I'll start with that. Do you want to talk a little bit about what the Jets did right? I think maybe they finally felt some unity or something. We could just start a little bit about the Jets.
I mean, solid game plan. I think they definitely caught Houston off their stride, made things difficult. We talked about for CJ Stroud, who I think the last couple of games, we've definitely seen some chinks in the armor. I know they're dealing with some injuries with Houston, but I think that the Jets defense played well, and you start to see some of their offensive guys start to click some of those weapons they got. Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson with a spectacular catch. It's going to be all over social media for years to come. So a solid win. I think it was more of a solid win for the Jets and less about the Texans not really showing up. But I mean, Houston definitely got some things to work on. But I think for the Jets, maybe there's something you can build upon. I don't know. Is their season done yet? Not really. But I mean, who knows? With Aaron Rodgers and company, you never know. Crazier things have happened.
I mean, it was just they made plays in key moments, and Houston didn't.
Yeah.
Houston all night was just offensively out of sync. They didn't play very well at all. Joe Mixon started off hot, kind of cooled off in the second half. But you see the great Garrett Wilson catch that he made in the back of the end zone. You didn't get that kind of effort from Houston that day. And that's part of the problem. The Jets had a chance to really blow that game open. You think of the early touchdown that they gave away because he, tosses the ball before he crosses the plane of the end zone. So there were plays in that game where Houston could have made more, didn't do it. The Jets did. So, and that's why they won. And short week, we know about the short preparation, but at the end of the day, both teams are on the same thing. You both played Sunday. You both played Thursday. Yes, one of you had to travel. That means one less walkthrough. But overall, the preparation is virtually the same. So I don't always buy the short week preparation argument. I do buy the short week recovering from injuries argument, but not the preparation. The preparation is virtually the same for both teams. So it's mostly mental. If you're not out there, you're not capable of understanding what you're coming in game plan wise and executing it, you lose. That's football.
Yeah, and the back half of the season looks like it could be more successful for the Texans, just over my brief viewing here. I think it's the the Jets, who are really looking to like make a 180 and be more successful by themselves. Like they need to actually put the effort in. I think for the Houston Texans, it may fall into place a little bit. All right, well, let's talk about the 3 matchups we're actually going to break down today. First, we'll kick it off with, I feel like, the match of the day. Everyone is talking about Bo Nix and Denver Broncos and how their defense has just been phenomenal. And, of course, kind of the collapse of the Ravens defense from last week against Jameis Winston, our preacher boy, and just how successful that Cleveland Browns offense was. Before we break down anything, let's kind of go through the injury report for the Baltimore Ravens. I got this from their social media directly. There are a lot of injuries on the defensive side, and we saw that was true against Cleveland last week. So I'm going to give Joe the Ravens today because we know how much he loves to represent Lamar Jackson. How can they adjust? I think that was the biggest flaw of last week, was that secondary and just stopping any type of huge explosive offense. So Bo Nix has a big arm. He's from Oregon. We all know what he's capable of doing, and they're jiving really well, those Denver Broncos. So how can the Ravens combat and just adjust?
Well, I think if you're Baltimore, you got to be thanking your lucky stars you're playing against a rookie quarterback. I know that people make jokes about Bo Nix being 30 years old and still being a rookie, but the fact is it's his first year in the NFL. But I think that can help make up for a lot of these injuries these guys are going through as far as Baltimore's defense, especially the secondary. I think you got to put pressure on Bo Nix, make him uncomfortable. Denver's definitely relied on the running game except the pass, which is kind of the formula for almost every NFL team. So I think from the Baltimore Ravens, we got to shut down that run game. I want Bo Nix going back and dropping back 25, 30 times. I think that plays to our hands. The guys that we do have on the field can make some plays. You know that Kyle Hamilton's still thinking about that dropped interception that could have sealed the game against Cleveland. He wants some revenge. You got some guys up front as far as pass rushers who have not really performed as well as Ravens fans would like, who also have an opportunity to make some plays today. So I think if I'm Baltimore, I'm really, really excited. It's a rookie quarterback, but I also want to make sure that Denver's running game is non-existent. I think that's a good winning formula for Baltimore on the defensive side.
Okay, Jeff, you are the Denver Broncos. What are you going to do today? I mean, there's a lot of talk around your team.
Well, first things first, we're going to attack this Ravens defense, right? If one thing we've seen from the Baltimore Ravens this season, the defense is a lot more suspect than it has been in the past. They're not consistent getting to the quarterback. They struggle at times stopping the run in key situations. And the other problem is, plain and simple, they don't make the plays at the end of games. That is why when you look at these games that they've lost, all of these games come down to the wire, and they always wind up going out there and either giving up first downs when they need to get off the field or giving up late scores to lose the game. They have to attack this defense. Do not try and play this game conservatively. Go out there, attack the Baltimore Ravens, make their defense play on their heels for 4 quarters, and you can go out there and get the win. If you play this game conservative, trying to keep the ball away from Lamar Jackson and company, you're going to play right into the Baltimore Ravens' hands.
All right, a couple stats that I like to throw out. The Broncos have allowed the fewest yards per play this season, 4.4, and the Ravens have the most yards per play gained, 7.1 this season. So I think this is definitely a matchup of the 2 strongest teams defensively and offensively, which is going to be very exciting. Bo Nix was also named Mr. October Rookie of the Month. How do you think that plays into his energy going into the game, Jeff?
Well, he's going to feel good about himself. He should. He's played well. The main thing that you want to keep doing is, yes, run the football, take some of the pressure off of him, but allow Bo Nix to be Bo Nix. If you try to constantly make him throw on schedule, that's going to be something that's going to be a problem, because the more you contain him in the pocket, the more you force him to play outside of his normal game, allow him to be Bo Nix. Allow him to break the pocket, extend plays. Allow him to run for first downs and get out of backwards or slide. Allow Bo Nix to be Bo Nix. The more comfortable he is, the better it is for your offense.
Oh my gosh, I forgot to mention Deontay Johnson's here, Joe.
Yep.
How often do you think he's going to be targeted? What do you think his day is going to look like against this Broncos defense?
I think they'll have a slow approach. They'll work him into certain plays. I mean, obviously, Jeff can attest to this probably better than I can. Almost all the teams have the exact same playbook and the exact same plays, just different terminology. So I think the plays he's comfortable with, I'm sure they have a package of like 10, 15 plays he's comfortable with that will give him a chance to get on the field and get acclimated with his new teammates, and more importantly, Lamar Jackson. I think the important thing for the Ravens is, man, it's going to get a lot of weapons. You have two great tight ends. You got King Henry out there. You got Zay Flowers who can take the top off. Also a pretty decent slot receiver. Bateman, despite him losing that ball in the sun, which was hilarious last week, he's having a pretty good season as well. I think if I'm a Ravens fan, I'm excited. He's starting to get a lot of weapons. It's almost like the Kansas City Chiefs 2.0 going on in Baltimore. It's just Lamar getting comfortable with those guys and getting them the ball in situations where they can make a play. But I think Johnson, probably 10, 15 plays max, that they'll help you have a package ready for him to go. He'll have an impact.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be a fun pick'em. I'm excited to hear who we both pick, because I've been reading a lot about how this game could go, and it seems like a lot of people are picking Denver, just saying. Next game, let's talk about Lions and the Packers. I think this is also another huge matchup for the day. The NFC North, like I said in the promo video, is the place to be, and the Lions are absolutely dominating defensively, offensively, except Jared Goff has to play outside today, and that is the talk of the town as well, because he's not successful outdoors, as everyone likes to say. So for the Packers, Jordan Love's kind of injured. He's coming back. He's going to play through it. Jeff, giving you the pack today. What do you see makes that something that they need to focus on as the Packers team? Because you want to keep your eyes on Jordan Love.
Jordan Love's banged up. We know he has the groin injury. He's going to play through it. Run the football. The less running he has to do, avoiding pass rushes and scrambling for yards and trying to buy time, the better it is on that injured groin, the less movement he has to do. So let him hand it off. Let the guys in the backfield carry the offense. Let him throw on schedule a lot more. Let him throw off a play action where he can get rid of the ball quickly and challenge defenses down the field where their pass rush is going to be focused on other things. The more straight drops, the more shotgun where he's just sitting there waiting for people to get open, the more it's going to put strain on him to be more use that athleticism, something that's a little banged up right now. Groin injuries are very tough because they can, you can battle it for 3-4 weeks, or you could pop it on one wrong move. So it's one of those things where the less he has to do with his legs, the better it is for you. Let him be able to hand it off. Even if you're going to put him in a gun to hand it off, let him give that ball. It's just 2 steps of giving that ball to the back and going downhill, as opposed to getting on the center, turning, opening up, and getting the ball to the runner. So you'll see a lot of those things in there. Anything they can to take the stress off of his legs. But the main thing is those guys got to get open quickly. I'm pretty sure you're going to see a fair share of slants, hitches, screens, a lot of quick game, so they can throw on schedule on early down, take advantage of softer coverage.
Okay, Joe, he just called your coverage soft. How do you combat that? If you're the Detroit Lions, you're going away, you're leading the NFC. Jared Goff is on a tear. I mean, there's a lot of things, except for losing Aiden Hutchinson, of course, that I think are going well for Detroit. So how do you see just that defense? I think Josh Jacobs is also going through a little bit of an injury. So the defense making a lot of great adjustments and against a strong, young, fun offense.
I mean, I think from the Detroit Lions, you just got to rely on your strengths. I mean, this is a team that's coming into this game. I want to say Detroit's in first in the NFL on third down defense, on getting themselves off the field. Use that to your advantage. Like Jeff said, we know that Jordan Love's hurt. It's a groin injury. We want him moving around. We want to hit him and test it and see exactly what his threshold for pain is. The exciting part about this game is if you're a fan of running football, you're in for a treat. I mean, these are 2 of the top 10 teams in the NFL when it comes to rushing. We'll have to see what Sonic and Knuckles can do. It's supposed to be kind of rainy and wet out there. To me, that spells running football. You kind of take those pass attempts where you can get them. So, I mean, like we talked about, Jared Goff's been on fire, probably one of the better playing quarterbacks in the NFL this season without question. But I think if I'm the Detroit Lions, I really got to rely heavy on our running game, and we'll pass it here or there. Defensively, if I'm the Lions, I want Jordan Love to have to move around. I want to force this guy to see how much pain he can take. And then also you want to make sure that you keep those Packers receivers in check. We talked about it on our last couple of shows. Some of us can name one, maybe two receivers from the Packers, but one thing we can all know is they make plays. So if you're the Detroit Lions, you got to be disciplined in your coverage. Don't take any kind of risk or anything like that. But the main thing is Jordan Love's got to be moving around, and I want to see what he can take.
All right, now to double down on my question, what do you think is the Achilles heel for the Lions today? They've got to have one flaw.
I think the fact that they're kind of compromised pass rush wise. We've seen the difference in their defense with Aiden Hutchinson. They've had to gamble a little bit more. They've had to do a lot of different things to kind of simulate pass rush. A lot of mixes up, a lot of mixing up scheme wise. Sometimes you compromise yourself doing that because the ability to rush forward when you have a special pass rusher, it does so much for a defensive coordinator. When you're trying to simulate, sometimes you're calling the wrong blitz look at the wrong time. Sometimes you're dropping at the wrong time. You get yourself caught in between trying to, walk people up and move people back. So the ability to just straight rush forward is something that's now lost on the Lions. Their forward pass rushers are quality, but they're not great. So with no Aiden Hutchinson, that's been one of the biggest issues for them. So they've had to kind of do what we talked about with Dallas. You got to scheme up pass rush. So I think that's where, when you look at it, that's their biggest challenge right now. Can they, at times, just rush a straight forward and get consistent pressure?
All right, now to switch it for you, Joe. What is the Achilles heel for the Packers?
Oh, come on. That's a layup. Thank you, Ashmere. It's got to be Jordan Love.
I mean, I kind of gave you the easy.
It's got to be Jordan Love. I mean, at least going into the game, you're thinking that you might be in for a rude awakening when you see that he's super mobile and the injury's not as bad as people might perceive it to be. But I think for the Packers, that's got to be the Achilles heel, is the health of Jordan Love. I mean, obviously we've seen Malik Willis. He's come off the bench and been more than capable as a backup. But I think if you're a Packers fan, I mean, Jordan Love, you're starting quarterback for a reason, right? That's who you want to have on the field. So I think if there's Achilles heels for them, I have to go with Jordan Love. I have to pick something else, the secondary Achilles heel. I mean, the Packers are ranked like 19th or 20th in rush defense. So we know that the Lions love to run the ball. So, I mean, if Jordan Love is willing and dealing, I think the run defense of the Packers is going to be an Achilles heel as well. So I'd go Jordan Love and I'd go Packer run defense, Achilles heels.
Yeah. I think this is a very exciting matchup to see how the Packers are covered defensively, and then if Jared Goff does not get sacked. I think that is a key to success here. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we will be right back.
You are watching Team NBS Media. We are a digital media brand covering sports, entertainment, and lifestyle, with team members all across the country. Through our written content, podcasts, and video content, we bring you fresh and professional content. Interested in joining the team? Shoot us an email or DM. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe.
Are you looking for an energy boost during the day, but you don't like the coffee crash? Be sure to check out Clean Cause. They have delicious yerba mate teas with 150 milligrams of caffeine, but without the jitters. They also donate 50% of their net profits to help with drug and alcohol addiction. Interested in more? Click the link in our bio to get your first case. Welcome back, everyone, to Moving the Chains here. My name is Ashmere Prasad, and we have a lot more football to talk about. We are with Jeff and Joe, of course. If you're new here, if you're just joining late, welcome. Good morning. Happy to have you here. All right, our last game of the day. We're going to talk about Jeff's favorite team. He's got a show, Bucks Weekly, in case you missed it. He probably broke this down for you in extensive detail. Did that happen, Jeff, or am I making that up? No? Well, I lost him. Anyways, well, this is a time for the Bucks to either A, get right, or the Chiefs to B, continue to dominate against the NFL and say, like, who is our next opponent. So I'm going to give Joe the Chiefs. I feel like it's only fair. I don't know why. Chiefs offense. I mean, they've just gotten DeAndre Hopkins. Patrick Mahomes is deciding to use his legs more than necessary because there's not really much going on. I think let's kick it off there. How can the DeAndre Hopkins addition help them today in this matchup? He's going to be a little more settled in with the team, so I think that'll be a big help for him.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You get a full week of practice. It's like we talked about with Johnson with the Ravens. It's not a situation where you're coming in, there's 8 or 10 plays that you have to know by heart. You've had a full week to get acclimated with Patrick Mahomes, the offense, your teammates. So I think you should see him being used a lot more in this game. And I mean, it hasn't been pretty all season, but hey, the Chiefs are undefeated. They're getting it done somehow. Patrick Mahomes seems like every other throw is an interception. But again, when the clock strikes 000, the Chiefs always end up being on the winning side of these games so far this season. So I think for Kansas City, it's going to come out strong, man. Have a really strong performance. It's Monday Night Football. There's no other game but yours. One thing I'll say about Patrick Mahomes, when he has a chance to be the main attraction and the only show in town, he usually performs at a pretty high clip. And we've talked about it all season. The Chiefs' defense has been really, really good this season. A chance for them to also showcase what they're all about. So I think for Kansas City, this is an opportunity to really put your foot forward. Yes, we've been undefeated, of course, but there's been some bumps, some lucky wins. Some people would say the best teammate for the Chiefs is the refs. You can put all that to the side with a really strong showing on Monday night.
Yeah, the Bucs are down bad, Joe. I mean, Jeff, well, both of you. Jeff, the Bucs are down bad. I was saying before you got your show Bucs Weekly, and you probably already broke down what this game is going to look like. So, want to hear how the Bucs just come into Arrowhead, one of the most probably annoying places that you have to play in the NFL, and absolutely do something different, right? Just kind of spin the narrative of what happened last week and get right the ship, as they would say. So, how can you see that happening for Tampa? Oh, you're muted.
Forgive me. Ever since I was on the road yesterday, something with my allergies, my sinuses. So I'm muting myself to keep myself from sneezing in the background here. Forgive me. So when you watch the Bucs last week, you see, yes, they are missing that explosiveness at wide receiver, but they have certain things offensively that help them out. But the main thing that's got to help them out is the defense. The defense has got to keep people around 21 points or less if they want to have a chance of winning without their 2 wide receivers. That's the first thing. You can't go out there and give up almost 30 points to the Falcons and then you're going to win the football game without Godwin and Evans. It's just not the Bucs what the Bucs have in the tank. I said it in the preseason when we talked about this roster going to 53. They went heavy on defense, so they can't afford a lot of injuries on offense. Well, it doesn't get any deeper than the top 2 wide receivers going out. You don't have anything near the talent behind it. So they have to use their tight ends. They have to use those young receivers to create plays, not only on the outside, but vertically, right? So speed on the outside. But what they've got to do is they got to utilize a guy that's their X factor right now, and that's Bucky Irving. Okay, Bucky Irving's giving them a lot out of the backfield. He's giving them a lot of juice in the running game. He's doing a lot for this team right now. So they got to kind of utilize him in that Alvin Kamara role. If you got to throw him the ball 10 times and run him another 10, do it. Okay? Use Rashad White, use your third running back, use all of them to help Baker Mayfield out. Because Baker Mayfield's not going to be able to do the things he was doing earlier in the season when he had both of those receivers. If you lost just one of those receivers, whether it was just Godwin or Evans, you would have a better chance of doing things because you still have at least a possession receiver and a vertical threat, Evans, or the same thing with Godwin, possession receiver and a vertical threat. But you don't have either one of them, so now you're missing both. Right? You don't have too many guys that can go downfield and make consistent plays for you. You don't have too many guys on 3rd and 10 that can move the chains for you. Cade Otton's a good option, but he's a check down. Right? So you're still working with a bunch of young receivers. They bring a lot to the table, but they're not the complete option like you're missing. You're missing 2 complete options. That's a hard thing to replace. So you've got to be creative with your with ways of working the other guys. And I think the best player that's going to help them out is Bucky Irving. Not just throwing them screens, but giving them routes that attack the middle of the field and the outside, making those linebackers cover a lot of space. That's how they're going to be able to make up for it. But once again, this defense has to hold teams to 21 or less.
Okay, but fun fact here, the Chiefs defense is allowing the NFL worst 7 receptions a game and 80 receiving yards to tight ends. So I think K. Dotton can be successful here. The two that went over were George Kittle, Isaiah Likely, and Mike Gesicki. So I think
Yeah, but those guys are way more dangerous
you're not a
than
K.
Dot. K. Dot's more of a blocking / possession tight end who can hurt you in the red zone. He's not the guy like those guys who could stretch the field, hurt you down the middle. So once you look for K. Dot, yes, he's going to hurt you on play action. He's a good check down option. But what you can do is utilize Bucky Irving. One thing the Chiefs love to do is blitz. That back coming out of the backfield, beating a linebacker one-on-one is great against the blitz. It hurts a lot of teams that way. When you watch, whether it's the pro game, whether it's the college game, even down to the high school game, if you have an athletic running back, that's a hard matchup. If you're a team that likes to blitz, that is a hard matchup to put a linebacker or one of those backs coming out of the backfield. So I think that's going to be the best option. Let Spagnuolo show you those blitz looks. Get Bucky Irving in those situations one-on-one with some of those linebackers and even a safety. He can hurt you either way.
I'm obviously not going to pick the Chiefs in rapid fire. If you've watched the show long enough, you know that I'm choosing against the Chiefs day in and day out. But I'm going to ask Joe this question anyways. Do you think this Chiefs offense and defense, do you think the entire team today is really going to overshadow Baker Mayfield and really take over?
I mean, the one stat when I was previewing this game that really stood out to me is the Bucs right now with Todd Bowles, who's a defensive-minded coach, are ranked 30th in the NFL overall in defense, and the Kansas City Chiefs are ranked second. But like Jeff said, one thing about Steve Spagnuolo, he loves to blitz, and when you blitz, you leave your team vulnerable for big plays. So I think that Tampa Bay has got to get in this game early. If they fall behind 14-0 on the road in Kansas City, which is one of the most hostile environments in sports, not just the NFL, I think it spells doom. I think this game has a chance to get to blowout city really, really quickly. Like, it's super important for Tampa Bay to get off to a good start. If you see them down by 2 touchdowns or more after like the first or second quarter, it might be time for you to figure out what's in your Netflix queue or what you have on Amazon Prime to watch, because it could get ugly pretty quickly in this game.
Yeah, I think if it's going to look anything similar to Kurt Cobain's absolutely taken over, it'll have the same type of feeling. All right, one more quick break. We've got Christy Love giving us her parlay picks for the week. And of course, then we're going to get into our fantasy talk and our picks promo. So stay tuned.
What up, y'all? It's your girl, Christy Love with Team NBS Media. I got 2 parlays for y'all. Let's get into it. The first slip is from Prize Picks. I have Lamar Jackson for 218 passing yards, St. Brown for a touchdown, Kyron for a touchdown, Derrick Henry for a touchdown, and Jaden Daniels for 1 passing touchdown. That's an easy lock. And then also I wanted to add Caleb Williams for 25 rushing yards. If he's not going to get anything else, he's going to give you rushing yards. Just like somebody I used to know in the Bears. But let's move on. The next slip is a money line parlay, a 6-legger. Let's go ahead and get into it. I got the Bills beating Miami at home. I have the Falcons beating Dallas and Atlanta. The Falcons have been playing really good football as of late, or I should say the whole season, to be honest. So this should be an easy lock for the Falcons. Bonus leg, I would put Kirk Cousins down for 225 and 2 passing touchdowns. Like, quick little bonus. I got the Vikings beating the Colts at home. The Colts went ahead and benched their quarterback Richardson. I don't see them doing much of anything. Easy win for the Vikings. I have the Commanders beating the Giants, a divisional game, but they're coming off that amazing win against my Bears. So I see them with all the momentum beating the Giants. I mean, it's the Giants. I do have the Cardinals beating my Bears. The Cardinals have been playing good football. They're a great football team at home. I see them beating my Bears and beating them in the run game, if I might add. And then lastly, I have the Lions beating Green Bay. No Jordan Love. So it should be an easy, I won't say easy, but they should go ahead and handle business in this divisional game. For all of my picks and more, make sure you guys go to betus.com. Use promo code TEAMNBS to get 125% in bonus in your first 3 deposits. That is free money. I'm giving y'all free money. So go to betus.com. Use promo code TEAMNBS to get 125 bonuses on your first 3 deposits. All right, y'all? Until next time, go Bears.
She even picked against her own team. I love when people do that.
Hey, when it comes to money, you got to do what you got to do.
She's like, I'm not going to stop you from getting that bag, okay?
We hated on Pete Rose for doing it, though.
I think we just lost 50 viewers.
All right, Jeff has a QB breakdown drafting graphic that he'd like to toss us to before we roll into fantasy and our rapid fire picks. So please, Jeff, go ahead.
Well, the big talk that we've seen ever since Anthony Richardson got benched was about drafting quarterbacks. Every year we talk about it in the draft. We go through the draft every year, and everybody wants to know where the quarterback's falling. It is, yes, one of the most important positions when it comes to the draft. However, it is a position that you have to have two things for: patience and a plan. Okay, if you don't have those two things, okay, you're not setting them up to succeed, no matter how talented the player is. We've seen this throughout history. We've seen quarterbacks who come in very talented, they don't work out somewhere, they go somewhere else, and they work out just fine. Or they bounce around from team to team. Neither one of those teams has a real plan for the player. They're just trying to catch lightning in a bottle. He becomes a journeyman that sits on the bench forever. Or you have a guy who goes somewhere, he just doesn't work out altogether and never seen again. We've seen different ways for certain quarterbacks to work out. Let's go through some of these examples. And it's a prime example of patience and a plan, right? Here's 4 easy examples. Troy Aikman, 14-24 in his first 3 seasons, okay, with the Dallas Cowboys. What happens? Goes on to win 3 Super Bowls. They had patience with Troy Aikman and a plan. Remember, his rookie season, he didn't win a game at all. He was 0-11 as a rookie, okay? So it comes down to patience and a plan, all right? Jared Goff, he had a winning record in his first 3 seasons. The Rams got impatient, traded him to Detroit. Look at the quarterback he's become. So once again, now it did work out for him because the guy they traded for had a losing record after his first 3 seasons, 13-16 in Detroit. He went on to win them Super Bowl. So you have to look at it. They had a plan for him. Right? They wanted the veteran quarterback, Matthew Stafford, at the end of his career. They didn't have a plan for Jared Goff after his first 3 seasons. We see both of those working out for both of those teams so far. Then there's the case of Sam Darnold, who's one of those cases we always talk about. The Jets drafted him, didn't have patience for him. The plan that they have didn't last very long. He bounced out of there. He's bounced around from team to team. He's having some success now in Minnesota. But overall, in the first 3 seasons, look at the record. It's right there, 13-25 as a starter in his first 3 seasons. This is the best he's had by midseason. This is the best run he's had so far. But the question is, you're looking at this point in his career, is Sam Darnold a franchise quarterback? That is a viable question even now in his career. Even though he is having success in Minnesota, guess what? People are still looking to their young quarterback that they drafted to come back next year and take the job from him. So it tells you, even if you don't have a patience for your quarterback that you draft, if you don't have a plan for the quarterback that you draft, these kind of things happen where you can have a quality player or a very good player who bounces around. With the case of Sam Darnold, when you talk about those other guys, there were questions coming out of USC. People thought he was QB1 going into his final year at USC. By the time he came out, he had already been surpassed by Baker Mayfield. He had already been surpassed by Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Okay, so he had questions coming out. The Jets believed in him so much, they took him in the top 10. And they didn't have patience. They didn't have a plan. It didn't work out for them. And guess what? It didn't work out with the quarterback they drafted behind him and Zach Wilson. The same thing happened. No patience, no plan. He's out of there. So when it comes to your quarterbacks, you got to have those 2 things. You're not always going to have lightning in a bottle success. It doesn't always work out that way. But if you believe in the structure that you're building around this young player, you can have that success. You can get the best out of that player. So you got to draft the right player. You got to have patience. You got to have a plan.
So rolling back to Anthony Richardson, the Colts could lead the division. They're definitely in a better win now mentality, hence the Joe Flacco start. At what point are you giving your quarterback a chance to grow that you're speaking of?
Well, Anthony Richardson, you didn't get a full rookie year. You got a couple of games. He got injured. He showed a lot of promise. He exceeded expectations in the limited sample size you got out of his rookie season. The problem you have with a young quarterback is sometimes success can go to its head, to their head. Right? I say it all the time with players that have success, and then all of a sudden they go off the deep end. We've seen it a lot. Chase Claypool, Antonio Brown, all of these guys who had a lot of success, and then it goes to their head and they go the wrong way. So the easiest drug to get addicted to is yourself. Okay, so he got a little out of sorts. He got a little ahead of himself. You can correct that, but you got to attack it the right way. If you make him the villain instantly right now, benching him was probably a good thing for him. He's got to earn it back. He needs that. But it's how you bench him. If you make him the villain in this situation where he doesn't believe anymore and he doesn't buy into this is discipline, he believes he's being scapegoated, you're going to isolate him to the point where you're going to lose him. And if you do that, you're going to wind up losing out on your pick. Right? It is hard to reset the quarterback position in today's NFL. You have to be drafting high, or you're going to give up a king's ransom to get back up there to get one of them. And you better get the right guy. You better not be drafting in a weak year where you're reaching up there for a guy that you really shouldn't be reaching for to begin with. So if you have a young man in the house who you believed you had to develop anyway, then this is a time you have patience and a plan. Okay, we're going to bring the veteran in now to play for you right now, to teach you how to be a starter, to teach you how to be a franchise quarterback, a guy that's had Super Bowl success, right? But it is up to you to live up to those expectations, and we're going to put that on you to live up to it. We're not going to sit here and coddle you. Part of what happens with a lot of these young guys today, they go to big schools, they know they're the guy, they get coddled. NIL money is another way to coddle you. I want my Maserati. I want my this. I want my that. All of that comes with the dinner now when you're drafting a high quarterback. This is the stress of being an NFL GM and a head coach, is you have to learn to manage that kind of ego. When you're coaching grown men, you're managing egos more than any other level of football. So that is part of when it comes to with the dinner of drafting a young quarterback very high, is you got to learn to manage egos.
I have so many questions, I feel like. All right, my follow-up is a quick one. Is this similar to the Michael Penix Jr. situation going on in Atlanta? Would you say that that was a reach in the Falcons' direction, but also a great way to prep a young QB for the future?
Well, us in the draft community didn't agree with it because of the value.
I didn't either, but
we always stress value for the pick, right? But it was a smart decision by them to say, we're not going to catch ourselves at the end of this contract with Kirk Cousins looking for a quarterback. We believe we could get this guy now. We can have him ready to go. So when we're ready to move on from Kirk Cousins, we have our long-term starter. Nothing wrong with that, right? Regardless of what we say out here, we're not the ones whose jobs are on the line. So if they believe, right, if they believe that that's the best way to, one, set themselves up for long-term success, to have the quarterback ready to go, it's worked out for other teams. It hasn't always worked out for everybody. We look at Green Bay. Green Bay, the last 20 years, that has worked out. Why? You had Brett Favre. When you were ready to move on, Aaron Rodgers was ready to go. Aaron Rodgers became that Brett Favre, that old guy that you need to move on from. Jordan Love has been ready to go. Regardless how much people talked about Jordan Love in training camp, when Aaron Rodgers was there, he's not ready. He's not accurate. He's not this. That tune quickly changed when he went out there on the field and led that team to the playoffs and a playoff win. Now, all of a sudden, everybody loves Jordan Love, don't they? So give the Packers credit for having the foresight to saying, we know what we want. We know we're going to be ready to move on when we're ready to move on. We're not going to be in that position of trying to force a square peg into a round hole at quarterback. We're not going to be forced to start a rookie. We're going to have guys ready to go. The Atlanta Falcons took that chapter in the book and said, we're going to do exactly that. We read it. We liked what they did. And that's what they're playing. Regardless of what we think of it here, like I said, Terry Fontenot is not sitting here going, Jeff Barnes doesn't like it, tough. He's going, Arthur Blank's going to make sure he's signing my check in 5 years.
Okay. I think this is a very extended conversation that we could have for at least an hour, because I have so many questions. But today is all about today's game. So let's do a little bit of fantasy football. I think that people are coming around the bend, and I am people. Okay. I won last week. I feel like I'm getting better. It was a tough stretch when I had no AJ Brown, no Joe Mixon, Ramondre Stevenson's. Like, I don't understand why I drafted him. So many questions. I think the first thing I always like to start with is defenses, because those things can really turn around your points. So, Jeff, what defensive matchup do you like today?
Ooh, well, if I'm going to go defense, looking at the matchups today, give me New England's defense versus Tennessee. Neither one of these teams are playing well offensively. Both teams are guaranteed to turn the ball over at some point. Tennessee, I don't know what's going on there. Okay, you have the quarterback that you want. He's a talented kid. He's not. I don't think he's going to be a Pro Bowler, but I think he's a talented quarterback. However, you have a running game to help him out. You have running backs that do multiple things. Some reason this offense is being held back. They got rid of DeAndre Hopkins. They felt he wasn't the option to help them out. Okay, well, what do you have that's going to help you out now? A bunch of young receivers. So there's a lot of unsureness going on there with Tennessee's offense. So I expect New England to get some turnovers, to get some sacks. If you're looking at start a defense, it's going to get you some fantasy points that way. New England versus Tennessee is a good matchup to start with.
Okay, if Greg is telling us to play against his own team, that is some serious help, okay? Just like Christy Love giving you that parlay money, Greg is trying to give you those fantasy points. So, Joe, who is your must-play defense?
I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm just not a believer of the same way you feel about Chiefs players, kind of how I feel about Trevor Lawrence. I just think he's known for the give-me's, man. You know he's going to give you at least one or two interceptions. There's going to be a fumble in a critical situation. Their offensive line is not the greatest. I know that the pass rush for Philadelphia hasn't been outstanding, but what a get-right game is against Jacksonville. I think they can get some pressure on their quarterback, get some sacks. So if it was me, I'm going to go with that Eagles defense. I guarantee you they're going to get at least one interception.
Yeah, my pick was actually the Falcons defense. So we are on the same page here, Greg. And then finally, who is your must start today? Joe?
I got two. I'd say anybody. I mean, anybody who's a wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills. I think all those guys are starting to get in the groove. They spread the ball around. I think you're going to get points no matter who it is you grab. And another guy who's making a little name for himself there out in Los Angeles will be Ladd McConkey for the Chargers. That's a guy that's starting. All he did is catch touchdowns. He might have 3 or 4 receptions, and 2 of them are touchdowns. So if you're desperate, you're looking deep on the archives to see who's available, because we know that most of the superstars are all gone already. If you have a decent fantasy league, I would say I'd put the Ladd McConkey in my lineup. Give him a shot.
All right, going to the Miami team. They're taking on Buffalo. Are you playing any Miami players?
I'm starting Tyreek Hill for the first time in forever, so I guess I'm saying yes.
Listen, Tyreek Hill showed he was back last week. Problem is they didn't have a defense to stop Arizona. But if there's somebody I'm going to definitely start this week, for me, it's got to be Devontae Smith, right? You talk about Philadelphia, Jacksonville defense not exactly playing great. Philadelphia has all those weapons. Jacksonville's definitely going to look to slow Saquon Barkley down. They're going to be worried about it. Brown on the opposite side. So you want to get Devontae Smith the deep balls. You want to get him those red zone touchdowns. And Dallas Goedert's going to get sprinkled some production in there. I think the big plays are going to come from Devontae Smith today more than Brown.
Well, that's not good for the A.J. Brown people, who are me. All right. I think my must start today is Mooney, because Kirk Cousins loves to feed his receivers. And against a Cowboys team that we have talked about on this show time and time again, I think this is going to be a nice offensive heavy game. I don't know how the Niners gave up those 2 touchdowns to CeeDee Lamb. It felt like it was for betting purposes, because I was down bad until CeeDee had. That was crazy. I think that was crazy. I thought they was going to tie the game up. We're going to overtime, and it's a very weird way that football closes out games here.
Sure. All right, you should start Bijan Robinson against Dallas, because if anything, he's going to get.
All Falcons players are going to eat today.
All right, so listen, it continues to be a Where's Waldo of who's missing for Dallas on that defense. So until they get some of those guys back, they're not going to be able to stop anybody. They were fortunate to slow San Francisco down for a half last week, but defensively, they just don't have enough horses to keep up right now.
Yeah, their run defense is horrific, man. Golly.
And if you have to commit bodies to the run and you can't rush the passer, you're in trouble, right? And so you still no Deron Bland, They may get Kalen Carson back. So at least they get a better corner opposite an injured Diggs who's injured. So if he pops that calf during the game, guess what? You'll be playing Kalen Carson on one side and Owarie, who's basically a practice squad corner on the other. That's not good. Okay. So when you talk about 4 pass rushes missing, corners hurt, this is why this Dallas defense is struggling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've had it talked about enough here, and Jeff called everybody. If you hadn't seen it, starts with the word "saw."
The clip is still around.
You can go back and see it. Jeff was very, very smart and adamant because that game was. I mean, the first half was very different. All right, Jeff, take it away. Let's go to our rapid fire picks.
All right, so rapid fire it is. So Joe, let's see if you can keep your hot hand going because 13-3. Man, it's been a dog's age since I had a week like that. But here we go. So we're going to kick it off. Miami, Buffalo, 1 o'clock window. Miami, to a second game back. Buffalo just getting hotter and hotter as we go along.
I'm going to stick with Buffalo.
Yeah, I'll go Bills.
Greg goes Bills. We start off unanimous.
That could be a bad sign.
Right.
Denver, Baltimore, one of the games we highlighted earlier. Baltimore with their mash unit of a defense that wasn't playing well as it was.
This feels
Denver's
crazy, but I'm going to go with Denver. I think the Ravens' defense to the secondary is down kind of bad.
Man, after losing to the Browns.
Oh, Greg and I, Denver.
It's hard to be confident after seeing that game. I know it's every week's different, though. Man. I'm
really aiming at the, shooting in the dark here for the Denver pick.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to go Ravens at home. I think they get the job done at home. I think you get that crowd full-throated singing Seven Nation Army like they always do. But I think they get it done at home. I think that's going to be the key for the Ravens. You're in front of your home crowd. It didn't work out for you versus Cleveland, which is a division rival. This is not the typical conventional opponent. So I think they get it done at home versus Denver.
Yeah, I go Denver. I go Baltimore as well. Sorry.
Split. Okay. So we got the Fighting Harbaughs. We go from one Harbaugh to the other. The Fighting Harbaughs at Cleveland. With a resurgent Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston.
I'm going Brown.
All right, so he believes in Jameis Winston.
I'm sure the sermon's being written right now. You're practicing in the locker room. We're going to all see it on
Yeah, I'd
social.
love to see the pre-locker room chat right now.
He's going to lift them up, Joe. He's going to lift them up.
This is the day the Lord has made. Hurry.
Greg, go and charge it. Ashmere's still pondering.
This is very hard. I'm going to go last. You go first.
Well, listen, I have really been wrong when I picked the Fighting Harbaughs, and I'm going to stick with the Fighting Harbaughs in this one.
It's an outrageous thing, Joe, but you are going to lone wolf on the Cleveland Browns.
Let's go. Shout out to my guy, Brad Ward.
Who's got it better than us? Nobody.
Come on,
All
Brad.
right. This matchup to start the season was an obliteration. It was an exhibition, what the Saints did to Carolina. Since then, they've joined Carolina on the skids. So, what does this matchup look like this time around?
I think it's a repeater. Derek Carr, for some reason, I keep coming back to him.
Yeah, Derek Carr's back today, right?
Yes.
Yes, he is.
I mean, yeah, I got to go to New Orleans. This would be like, 7 losses in a row or something crazy like that they lost today? No, it's got to be Saints.
Yeah, I think Alvin Kamara does his thing.
We are unanimous on the Saints. All right. Ashmere, one close to your heart. The Raiders travel to Cincinnati.
I'm going to be like Christy Love today and pick against my team and pick the Bengals. It's a terrible place out there in Raider Nation.
I don't know if I can lone wolf on Raiders and Browns. That's like a bad recipe. So I'm gonna go Joe Burrow. I was tempted. Then I forgot who the Raiders quarterback was. I remember who the Raiders quarterback was.
Especially after last week, he got rinsed out. So
yeah, I just don't think they're playing well enough to win in Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati right now, although they have some shaky moments, they're playing decent enough to win this game.
Wasted Max Crosby's years, man.
yeah, I said the same thing.
All right, so here we go. Commanders at New York Giants. New York Giants going back to the old 80s uniforms with Giants across the helmet. Trying to bring back some of that magic, and hopefully they can get Daniel Jones to play like Phil Simms today. What do you guys believe on this one?
I mean, I think we're unanimous after that crazy Hail Mary. There's no other way.
Nah, I'm the Commanders. It's a divisional game, so I'm sure it'll be ugly. It might be like a field goal win or something like that. I'm still going to go Washington. It's a place where everybody wants to be. Didn't you see Adam Schefter's tweet, Jeff? That people that are on the market to be traded are wanting to come to Washington?
Yeah.
Haven't heard that in 40 years.
Yeah. They believe in the Commanders, and they're leading the division, and I think they will continue to lead the division after beating the Giants today.
Yes,
Man,
I'm with you. We're unanimous.
All right. Boys at Falcons, and we're not going to say Dallas because there is no D right now in Dallas. So, therefore, we're just going to say the boys. Can they take their practice squad defense and go into Falcons territory and get a win?
I'm going to say no.
Greg agrees with the Falcons.
Out the gate quick.
I think that Darnell Mooney, Drake London duo is a lethal one.
You're pondering, Joe. You went with Dallas against San Francisco.
So that's why I have to go Atlanta because Dallas.
There you go. See, I had to be the Vegas dealer and help you not make that bad bet. Okay, all right. Listen,
you've been here before, my friend.
You are not going to beat teams.
That's exactly how they act in Vegas too. That's exactly how they act in Vegas. Are you sure you want to bet 400 on the Red again?
Yeah,
You're right.
Yes. Listen, until they get some D in Dallas, this ain't happening. All right. New England, Tennessee, the game that nobody wants to talk about.
Ugh. Patriots. Yes. Let's go, Patriots. Sloppy, ugly, like they like it. Going Pats.
Isn't Mason Rudolph playing?
Yes, he is.
Oh, yeah. Drake May all day.
Sorry, Mason Rudolph. No fans here.
Or Tennessee. I was going to say. You're from Tennessee. I'm sorry.
Can I actually lone wolf on the Titans?
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that going to happen?
Of all games.
Happen?
Do
No,
the Titans
it's not
have
happening.
Okay, I'm like,
It's not happening. We will not be lone wolfing on the Titans.
Well written movie, Jeff. Way to get the suspense.
Yeah,
I mean,
that wasn't happening.
there
That
are
thing-
games that should be, but
I reserve my lone wolf for games that actually have a chance of winning. So, yeah, I don't believe in Tennessee right now. And if I'm going to lone wolf, it's going to be somebody I believe in, not just on a whim. They ain't the one. So, all right, here we go. Chicago, Arizona. A lot of people saw this in the preseason and said, this is not a sexy matchup. Now we're in the middle of the season. They're going, this is a very sexy matchup. Okay. You got two young quarterbacks, the hot young rookie, Caleb Williams. You got the resurgent Kyler Murray, and a Cardinals team that people start to believe in. The Bears, a Hail Mary away from knocking off the first place Commanders last week and fighting for first place in the North. What say you guys on this match?
This one's kind of tough.
Yeah. I'm going to go. I think the Bears are pissed off. I go Bears.
I'm going to pick the Cardinals.
All right.
Yeah.
I was so prepared to lone wolf here, but Joe picked the Bears.
Whoa.
And he's not going to lone wolf on this one. I'm going to go with him on this one. But I reserve the right, Matt Eberflus. You let me down again. I am going to have a real hard time picking you in a tough matchup ever again. So you get my vote today, Matt Eberflus. I believe you guys can get it done against Arizona, even though it's in Arizona. However, I reserve the right to never pick you again if you blow this one.
Cardinals burned me too many times this year. I'm still mad about week 1 on the road to Buffalo. You won that game in Buffalo.
I can't get the Cardinals picks right at all. Okay, don't do that. All right, I pick them, they lose. I pick against them, they win. All right, here we go. Jacksonville at Philadelphia.
Oh, obviously we're going to unanimously pick Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
That team is so trustworthy.
The Jacks never let you down. Should be Eagles across the board. You're welcome, Mark, and the rest of you Cats fans. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Wow, Greg is actually picking Jaguars.
That's just because he doesn't like the Eagles because they're in his division.
I understand. We all pick our problems here, but
he's not picking.
I'm willing to take the L just to not pick the Chiefs. That's always me.
That is true.
Listen, I told you my fantasy pick. I believe they get it done. There's no drama here. Greg is lone wolfing on the Eagles.
Bananas.
Exactly.
I want the Commanders to own the NFC East. Greg, did you not watch The Godfather? You never pick against the family. Here we go. Detroit versus Green Bay in Green Bay. Everybody talks about Jared Goff outdoors, but Jared Goff did beat the Packers in Lambeau Field several times. So I don't exactly believe in that sentiment of him not playing well outdoors. Can he get it done this time without Aiden Hutchins?
This might be the game of the day right here. Early candidate. I'm going to go with the ankle biters. Give me the Lions.
No, the Eagles have never been your family, Joe. But you are a Cowboys guy, and you're picking the Commanders. So, you're going against the family, picking against the Cowboys, picking the Commanders, and yes, picking against the Eagles. Well, we expect you to pick against the Eagles, but you went with the Commanders and then picked against your own team. So you never go against the family.
Greg's having a hard time this season. This is a safe place.
Yes. Well, at least he's being fair and unbiased, right? So we can say that, right?
True.
He's picking against his own. Although they're Cowboy fans, that would hate you for doing it. All right. So you got Lions twice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jeff, you go first.
Ashmere always does that.
I just think Jeff always gets the fun of being the last one,
Well, that's what happens when you operate the ball.
It's a tough matchup. Ashmere's like, you guys go first.
All right, so here we go. All right, so
we'll do another segment, and we'll come back to this later.
I'm just a follower. Call me what I am.
I'll shoot a video with my pick later. Can we just move on? I'll email my pick.
So Packers at home. We know Jordan Love will play. I don't think it's going to be easy, but I think the Lions get it done. I think Green Bay, if they win, it's going to be in Detroit.
It sounds like we are unanimous, folks.
Okay.
Run us down, Lions.
Okay. You got me sounding like Billy Bank in Ocean's 13. Okay.
Come on, Lions.
Oh, you're hurt, Greg. I understand. You're hurt. You're hurt. I
That's
know.
it. It's a safe place, man. Let your feelings flow.
You know. Let the hate flow through you, Greg. Let the hate flow through you. All right, here we go. Rams and Seahawks. Divisional battle. AFC West. Resurgent Rams now that they have all their receivers back, and Lord knows what the hell the Seahawks are doing the past couple of weeks. But it is in Seattle, and they haven't exactly held serve in Seattle this season. So what say you about the Rams and Seahawks? I'll tell you what. I will go first in this one. Okay? All right. Because both of these teams have screwed up my picks on multiple weeks. Okay? All right? I picked the Rams. They've blown it. I picked against them. They've won. All right. I picked the Seahawks a couple of times recently, and boy, oh boy, have they blown it big. Okay, especially last week. All right. So, who do I want to get burned by this week? I'll take the Rams. At least they have all their receivers. It gives me a better feeling than what I've seen from Geno Smith and the Seahawks the last year.
Yeah, last week everybody was really high on Seattle.
Yeah.
So I think the Rams figure it out. I mean, they're still contending in this division.
No DK Metcalf still for this game, right?
I think the Seattle defense is their biggest problem. I mean,
I'm gonna go Rams. I'm a Stafford fan.
I think Greg is saying he's picking the Rams too.
Yeah, I think he's picking the Rams too. So.
In his own way.
Yeah.
A lot of unanimous picks going across this board.
We're slowly adding them in for sure.
All right, so the battle of cast-offs. Here we go. All right, we got Sam Darnold, Joe Flacco for different teams than they were drafted by. Well, Flacco more because he's at the end of his career. He's in a lot of stages of his career. Sam Darnold, not so much. He just hasn't worked out long-term in any stop so far. Can Indy get it done in Minnesota?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's a 0 for me. It's a no for me, Simon.
Well, Greg can go last on this one. I think there's going to be a bunch of doing the gritty in Minnesota. Give me Minnesota.
The perfect way.
Anytime, Greg.
Oh, we both said hey.
Colts win this game. He's lone wolfing on the Colts. Look at that.
That's very bold.
Something about the AFC South this week has Greg ready to lone wolf on AFC South teams.
If he gets that pick right, hey, respect.
Moving on.
I mean, if the Vikings go down 3 games, that's a bad stretch for them.
For sure. Tough place to play.
This would have been a Super Bowl rematch if Brady was still around. It's a rematch, not so much of the Super Bowl matchup that we had. Bucks at Chiefs at Arrowhead. Greg has already made it known he's going Chiefs.
Yeah.
Ashmere is going Tampa Bay.
I don't know, man. I'm down. I'm only ahead 1 game in our rankings. I don't know what to do here.
Now we're picking with our football brains.
Now I'm not picking with my heart. I'm picking with the bragging rights. I'll have to go Chiefs, I guess. I hope we're all wrong.
I am the Michael Myers creeping up behind you in the rankings, Ashmere.
Yeah.
But yes, I won't be gaining any ground with you on this pick. I'm going Chiefs. I just think the injuries are too much for the Bucks right now. When they get Mike Evans back, I think they'll be able to take on teams like the Chiefs. Right now, I don't think they'll get it done versus the Chiefs today.
Yeah, I really want to pick Tampa Bay just to be different, but I'll go Kansas City. I want my record to improve. I don't want to.
Cincinnati and Baltimore. This has been a fight every time these two teams have met. They get to do it on Thursday Night Football. in Baltimore this time.
This
What
is
say
crazy
you
because
got?
I picked Denver, and now I'm picking extremely in the future.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna keep on putting I'll keep putting my faith in the Ravens. I'll go Baltimore. I just can't see them losing back to back, like 3 in a row. That's incredible. Seems too good.
Yeah, I'll pick Baltimore. I think the Bengals are the lesser team in the division right now.
They struggle with the Bengals. Can they get it done at home on a short week? I think the familiar opponent makes the difference. If it was an unfamiliar opponent, they may struggle. But give me Baltimore. Greg is lone wolfing again.
You know what? He's just saving Lamar Jackson.
It is the first week, I believe, I haven't lone wolf.
Oh, wow.
Joe's catching on to you.
I just can't believe the Colts pick from Greg. That's big.
Yeah, that is a bold one.
He was hot. We'll remind everybody where we are in the rankings once again for Rapid Fire. Once again, Joe was ultra hot. He went Super Saiyan 2 on us. All right. But still kind of bring up the rear, but he is close within 10 games of Ashmere. I am 1 game behind Ashmere. Greg, 3 games behind Ashmere. So we're very close. Like I said, I'm sitting up like Michael Myers coming for you, Ashmere.
And I had to pick the Chiefs just to hold my spot. It's an ugly choice in this game.
Things we do for clout.
Oh.
We'll add that one during the week.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even want to pick that game.
Yeah,
I'm sorry for the people of Germany. That's the best football you get is those 2 teams. I apologize.
Yeah.
We'll do better.
We'll add that one during the week, and we'll drop it on social media. I'll pick for that one. So that'll be on next week's graphic.
That's the ugly one. All right, my friends, as always, it has been a pleasure. And for everyone tuning in, thank you very much for watching Moving the Chains here on Team NBS Media. My name is Ashmere, and be sure to catch us here every Sunday. We are going to be talking about all the games, and I wish you all luck. Have a great rest of your weekend, and be sure to like, subscribe, follow Team NBS on all social media platforms. Okay, so I'm